you've been head coach since 2005, and it sometimes seems like a given that, yeah, Todd's always going to be there. He's always going to be head coach. Was it as simple as that this year?
Yes and no, I suppose. I mean, I think that, the way things ended 18 months ago, was difficult. There was no closure, good or bad. After an 18-month period, you take a little bit of stock of your life and see which direction things are going, explore some interests. I had a good conversation with the bosses a few weeks ago. They had indicated that they're keen and want to get going. We know that there's a lot of hurdles still to cross. That's pretty evident in everyday life or certain facets of everyday life. And but if things don't move forward now, then there just will be no chance of a season. We're under a tight deadline, and I think they know that, and I think the Flyers are going to have to move in a quicker fashion than maybe the previous like in the past. But we got to get a team together. I've had a lot of productive talks with Jeff. I know he's definitely keen to be involved. As I said about the being off from the game for so long, a lot of times when the season just rolls over, you just caught up in that being your lifestyle. I think he's gone through very similar thoughts and processes that I've gone through, and a lot of changes for him too. But he's certainly keen, and we're working together right now. So, I have no reason to doubt that Jeff's going to be back. In fact, I'm quite confident he will be.
We're seeing around the league, lots of signings starting to be announced now. So how's it looking in terms of the Flyers recruitment?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was probably underway now for the better part of a couple of weeks. We've been on tight deadlines before, as I'm sure everybody's well aware. Probably maybe not as tight as this, but we always manage to deliver a product on ice. I think that from what we've seen, there's still quite a big pool of players out there. Teams have signed a number of players. I would have liked to have had certainly a crack or a look at some of the guys that we've seen signed. But you know what, as I said, I think that we have an exciting opportunity here to get back into it and knock off the rust of recruiting. It's been a long time, but it's exciting to get back and talk to players. I know that, there's a ton of guys that are keen. And we've had a lot of productive conversations, which is great. Well, there's always a core of guys that, a coach or an organization can rely on, and you're always quite happy to work with because you know what you're getting. I think what this time period did for everybody, not only former players of the Flyers, but former players of other teams, is some guys didn't go to work and subsequently have found other jobs. Some guys went and played elsewhere and found out that they're enjoying a new challenge in a different country. There will be a high-ish turnover. I've talked to some former players, and there's varying degrees of commitment levels, but that's fine. As I said, there's a lot of players out there, and we're excited to be building a team again.
In terms of how the season's going to work, have you had any guidance on how it's going to look? Are we going to be able to have a sort of full building, presuming we can get people in the door? What are the restrictions you're going to have in the dressing room, that sort of thing?
I think that's the answer that everybody would like to know, Ali. I mean, I think, you look, we play in a number of different countries with varying degrees of rules. It makes it very difficult. Certainly up here, we've heard a whole host of a number of things where we seem to be a little behind England's moving forward plan, which is fine. But I think for the season to go ahead for a lot of teams, not just the Flyers. We need the majority of restrictions lifted, and the Fife Ice Arena has to find a way to keep vulnerable people as safe as possible if they choose to come into the building. I don't think that's an easy task. You know, they've had a long time to work towards opening up these buildings. I'm sure they have plans and contingency plans in place. You know, our primary focus is building a team with the plan that we are going to get ahead on the start date.
What sort of players are you looking at? Because certainly in the past you've always gone for very sort of skillful sort of players. Is that the same thing? Or are you looking for some entertainment in there as well?
I think speed is key. We've seen over the years that speed is king, and the teams that can skate and skate all night long are teams that are going to be successful. You know, it's a difficult one because the game is consistently changing. I think that we've had a lot of time to talk about the past and reflect on it. Everybody in the Fife Ice Arena loves a character. I think that it's hard for that to translate sometimes in today's game. Sometimes that character comes out a little bit more on social media now than on game night. That's the way the game's developed. The most successful teams we've had is when the players feel a connection with the fan base and the fan base feel that same connection. How that happens is probably a couple of ways. One, obviously, you have a team that's successful on a Saturday night in that building. But maybe even more importantly than that is, instead of looking at, you know, at a guy's jersey and a name on the back of it, you actually have a few minutes to speak with these guys and recognize that they're just regular folk. They're out there doing what they love. And, you know, my guys realize that these people are paying their good hard-earned money. They want to be entertained, and they expect an effort night in and night out. There's a cycle in British hockey. I think I've been around long enough to recognize some cycles. There seems to be an arms race right now for the top British talent, and that's fine. I mean, some of these organizations are able to pay, you know, over and above. And I'm pro player. I think that if a guy's career is extremely short, if it's being offered, you know, a player should be able to make that wage if it's being offered. But when it gets into that, it becomes, for some of the smaller market clubs, it becomes difficult to be competitive. You know, the power shift happened years ago from, you know, really a big powerhouse up north to some of these big city centers down, where they have these big training centers down in England now. I think the GB hockey program, which is a shining light and extremely successful, players want to be as close to they can as that program. And with all the creature comforts that some of these big stadium teams offer. Working now with Daryl Venters and junior development, you know, we've always had that connection there. Daryl has a vision where he wants junior development to go and wants to provide a direct link with the Fife Flyers. It's a link that's always been there, but it needs strengthened. And you know, I think they're well aware. Daryl played for the Flyers. I think they're well aware of the jump that it takes, but there has to be a direct route for local guys to get into the team. Not only that, and not sitting on the bench on most nights, is actually getting out there and contributing. And that's something I've talked over extensively with Daryl. But this is a big commitment from both sides. And you know, I think that they are showing that they're more than willing to do the right things. And so nothing, in a roundabout way, is what I'm trying to say is nothing would please everybody more, and including the fan base, to see a local boy out there playing and competing on a nightly basis. I think that's important. You know, it's something that we haven't been able to accomplish since year one, where we had all the young team coming up and we were dipping our toe in the elite waters. So we have to get over that hump and start developing these guys.
hopefully in the next few weeks we'll start hearing some names. But for now, great to have you back. Great to have Jeff back as well, and we look forward to what's coming up.